What's up everybody, 40 the Broadway Cyan here, and welcome back again to my YouTube channel, bringing you guys another video on Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia. In this video, we're going to be touching up on Cyan and Fujin's rework and EX realizations because they're going to be getting these upgrades upon the release of the Mission Dungeon event coming soon to Global Opera Omnia. Now, if you guys are unfamiliar with the Mission Dungeon event, essentially the way that they are structured is very similar to the Abyss. You have to use particular crystal-colored characters for each of the specific nodes. You beat that, you unlock more nodes, and then you unlock a hard mode, which has the chaos version of the fight. The featured bosses for that particular event are going to be the bosses from Lon and Rain's event and also from Fran's event. So if you guys are familiar with those bosses, those are the bosses that we're going to be seeing for this particular event. But the highlight of this video is going to be for Cyan and Fujin because, like I said, they're getting upgrades with this particular mission dungeon. So to start things off, we're going to take a look at Cyan right here. So when Cyan first came out, he essentially would use a skill, okay, would put him in a stance, it would change the property of that skill, and then he would dish out damage. It would have some sort of an effect, like, you know, increasing his attack or increasing his speed, increasing his max brave, depending on which skill that you used. He would dish out his damage, and you could do this for a specific amount of turns, and then afterwards his abilities would revert back to the concentration version, in a sense, of his abilities, where he would have to use it again, put himself in that stance, and then, you know, dish out whatever damage he does with some additional effects. Like, for example, his skill 2 would heal. But the problem with Cyan is, even when he was first released and he got his level 60 awakening and, you know, level 70 awakening and things like that, he didn't really stick out. He was kind of all over the place, didn't really do too much damage, so underwhelming from the start. But now with his rework, let's go ahead and take a look at what he gets. So both his skill 1, Concentrate Fang, and Concentrate Dragon will be getting 4 additional skill uses, which is always good. Concentrate Fang is now going to be getting an improved speed up buff, not only with its effects, but also extending its duration to 2 turns. It's also going to improve the attack up feature for concentration. It's going to lower the action delay, not increase the turn count, and will not consume an ability usage, which is really, really good because, you know, you don't want to be wasting skill uses when you're just going to use an ability that puts you in a stance but actually doesn't deal damage. So I like how they did that for his particular ability. Now for Bushido Fang, which is tied to his skill 1 after you use Concentration Fang, it's now going to get 4 brave hits, which is great. It's going to get a tremendous brave damage potency increase alongside a 150% brave overflow, which is always nice. It's going to be triggering an HP attack after use, so now he's not just going to be dealing brave damage and then kind of just wasting turns. He's going to be dishing out some HP damage, and it's also going to have a 50% HP splash damage to non-targets, and not to mention, he's now going to be dispelling 3 buffs from the target if you break or attack a broken target. So this is definitely a significant upgrade for his skill 1 alone, which I feel like Cyan, even though we've said before that his rework is kind of late to the party, I think he's underrated. He's definitely underrated because that dispel right there and the addition and the, you know, the increased damage and all that good stuff is definitely going to make him a little bit more usable and, you know, a little bit underrated. So very, very good upgrade there for his skill 1. His skill 2, Concentrate Dragon. So we already talked about the additional 4 uses. It's also going to be giving him a tremendous increase to the brave heal that he gets with this ability. It's also going to be improving the max brave up and extending the duration by 2 turns, and also improving the attack up effect, which is exactly the same thing from the skill 1. Lower action delay, does not increase turn count, and also now does not consume an ability usage for the initiation version of this ability where he goes into the stance. So very good. Bushido Dragon is going to get improved now with the brave hits becoming 5. It's also going to get a tremendous brave damage potency increase. Stolen brave overflow up to 180%. Slightly raises that HP heal and also raises brave by 20% of the HP damage dealt. So he gives some brave back to himself after he deals the HP damage, which is nice. He also gets better heals and also overall increased damage to that 180% brave damage overflow. So very, very good upgrades. He definitely needed this because at this point, if he didn't get something like this, he's definitely like significantly overshadowed. But very, very good upgrades for Cyan. Not to mention, let's touch upon his C65 ability, which is his Guard Penetrate Crush. That's a C65 ability that actually deals damage and ignores defense and increases his brave overflow. So that's actually pretty good for a C65 ability because remember, they don't take up a turn count. You know, they're immediately able to take their turn right after they use it. It doesn't add to the turn count or anything like that. So he could dish out damage. So let's say you got to deal some extra damage and you don't want to waste a turn because you're trying to keep your turn count low. Pop that C65, Cyan dashes in, does some brave and HP attack that ignores defense and also increases his brave overflow. Not bad. Very, very nice. Now let's go ahead and take a look at his gear, specifically his EX weapon, the Kikuichi Monji, which is going to be debuting for this mission dungeon event. So it's going to be equipping him with the EX ability called Tsubami Geshi, which is going to be a 6-hit melee brave plus HP attack with a defense ignore. It's going to be ignoring enemy defense and buff effects, which is great. It's going to be giving him a brave overflow of up to 150% and granting him a brand new buff called Samurai's Pride for 3 turns at base. After he uses this, he is going to be reverting both his skill 1 and skill 2 to their concentration versions, regardless of the active concentration buff. And then afterwards, he's going to be with Samurai's Pride active, he's going to be changing his brave attack to its plus variant and his HP attack to their plus variant. Both of them can actually ignore defense, so it's going to be all about defense ignore with his character. And not to mention his HP attack plus has a brave overflow of up to 120%. And what Samurai's Pride does is it raises his initial max brave and attack, so increasing his overall offense. Now when you actually limit break this weapon, it's going to be giving a slight brave damage increase to both Tsubami Geshi and its plus variant. It's also going to be extending the duration of Samurai's Pride by 3 turns and also raising the recast speed by 20%. Now the recast speed is slow at base, so it's going to go up to slightly slow. Still not too fast, so you may not be seeing a lot of usage with this EX ability with its speed, but it's still pretty good. You know, I like all the defense ignore that this guy is getting and also the new buff that he gets. When you finally realize this weapon, this is what it's going to be doing. So 0 out of 3, gonna get your standard EX ability upgrades, raising the brave potency by a moderate amount this time, and also raising the max brave overflow limit. At 1 out of 3, he's gonna get that permanent increase to his statistics, particularly to his max brave and his attack. 2 out of 3, it's going to give him that functionality where he can start off with like his special buff. So he's going to be starting off with Samurai's Pride for 6 turns. And then finally, at 3 out of 3, his EX ability will now become a 5-hit melee brave plus HP attack, but this time executed twice. And it's going to get a tremendous brave damage potency increase and another max brave overflow increase. And then not to mention, when his HP is over 80% of his max HP, it'll be its plus variant, which is going to get a tremendous brave damage potency increase. It's going to be removing 3 buffs from all enemies, and this time he's going to be cleansing the party of all debuffs. So now Cyan not only dispels, has another way to dispel, but he can also now dispel all of the debuffs that are actually on your party. So definitely makes him a little bit more of a team player in that sense, which is pretty cool. The sphere that you're going to get from unlocking, from fully realizing and leveling this particular EX weapon is Break Hit Attack Advance. So what this does is when the equipped character is breaking a target or attacking a broken target, they're going to be raising their attack and max brave overflow limit by 5% for 6 turns. So it's actually not a bad sphere. I like how it increases offense with the attack and the max brave overflow. So overall, this is actually not bad of an upgrade for Cyan. He definitely needed this. Now, do I still think he is a little late to the party? Honestly, my mind has changed a little bit just because of the, you know, this character can now dispel, and he can also now, you know, cleanse debuffs, and also the damage that he gets is actually pretty good. So while he's still not going to be necessarily shining at the top with some of the meta that we're seeing, such as, you know, Arciella or some of the future characters that we're going to be getting like Kais, Cyan can actually bring a little bit of usability to the party. And if you're missing somebody that dispels or missing somebody that cleanses debuffs, well, Cyan can do that now. So not bad of an upgrade. If you actually happen to pull for him, he's not bad. He's not bad. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at Fujin now, one of the disciplinary committee. Fujin was our range attacker who specialized in wind element. So she was all about wind. That was the element that she was tied to. Unfortunately, when she was first released, not too spectacular. You know, while she had that wind enchant and imperil, her damage capability was just kind of it was just okay. But now with the upgrades that she gets with the rework and EX realization, let's go ahead and see what she could do. So first of all, her skill 2 will now have 2 additional usage, her Metsu and its plus variant. It's gonna get a brave hits increase to 4, which is good. A tremendous total brave damage potency increase. It's this time gonna be triggering an AoE HP attack after usage, with the HP damage being split equally amongst all targets. The speed up buff is gonna be improved, and it's gonna be granting her a buff called Silent Wind for 6 turns with a low action delay now in this ability. And what Silent Wind does is, as long as it's active on her, it's going to be extending those effects to the party. So it's going to be raising attack. So you got your attack aura there for your allies. It's going to be granting wind enchant. So now your party has wind enchant, and then also grants a brave regen. So very, very good upgrades there. I like how the functionality of this buff, while having it active on Fujin, applies to your party as an aura, which gives her a lot of party value there. Now, when using the base version of Mets or Metsu, it's going to have a brave overflow of up to 150%. When you're using the plus variant, that's increased to 180%, which is always nice. Next, we're going to go ahead and take a look at her Psy, which is her skill 2. So with the rework, 3 additional uses, brave hits become 5, tremendous brave damage potency increase, an improved attack up, also granting that, that silent wind for 6 turns, and now dealing 50% HP splash damage to non-targets. When you're using the base version, it's at 120% overflow. When you're using the plus version, it's going to be at 150%. And then now when you're using Brave Attack Plus, it's going to be AoE. It's going to have 2 brave hits with a slight brave damage potency increase. So very, very good upgrades overall. I like how she's pretty much an AoE wind attacker now with an enchant to the party, and I think the greatest value that she got on top of the damage and the overflow is that silent wind, that it acts as an aura to her allies as long as it's active on her. So very, very good upgrades overall. Now we're going to go ahead and take a look at that EX weapon. So it's going to be a brand new EX weapon for Fujin called Fujin's Moon Ring, equipping the EX ability called Tai. So first thing I want to mention is that I like these one-word names for her because, Fujin was that character that was just so serious, and it's like she was always screaming at you. So I like the names they gave for her abilities here. But Tai is a 6-hit AoE wind range brave plus HP attack. It moderately raises the brave damage dealt to a single target, which is roughly around 60%. It deals 100% HP damage to all enemies, so full HP damage, and also enters into her wind stance for 6 turns. When you limit break it, it's going to be getting a slight brave damage increase. It's also going to be inflicting Razor Wind on all targets for 3 turns. And what Razor Wind does is it triggers the following effects after the enemy turn ends. It's a 3-hit wind brave attack, and also it makes it easier to launch them. So kind of similar to Lael with his force debuff. What this does is it allows you to reach that chase with the chase sequence with the enemies a little bit easier. And then when you have it 3 out of 3, it's going to slightly raise the recast speed. Now it starts off at slightly slow, so this pushes it up to a normal speed, which is not bad. Especially it has that nice effect now where you could enter the launch sequence a lot easier. Now, when you realize this EX weapon, it's going to get the following upgrades. So 0 out of 3s is going to give, improvements to Tai, slight brave damage potency increase. It now gives it an overflow, 120%, and also inflicts wind resist down for 4 turns, or wind imperil, which is always now. So now you got the wind enchant, and now you got the wind imperil, which, they go hand in hand together with these elemental specialist characters. At 1 out of 3, she's going to get the permanent increase to her offense, max brave and attack. At 2 out of 3, she's going to get that functionality of being able to start off with some buffs. So she's going to get medium attack up and silent wind for 6 turns at the start of the quest, and also enters into her wind stance for 6 turns. And then finally, 3 out of 3, when you use her EX ability, the brave hits are now 10, which is amazing. Tremendous brave damage potency increase, slightly raises the max overflow limit further, raises all allies brave based on the HP damage dealt, and this time initiates the chase sequence on hit. So now she is auto launching when you fully realize this EX weapon. And then while she's in her wind stance, she's going to have access to her HP attack plus, which is a 3-hit wind range brave plus HP attack with stolen brave overflow up to 120%, and also raising the allies brave based on the HP damage dealt. So honestly, this is an excellent EX weapon, and Fujin is, definitely a little bit more of a desirable investment because she is another character that can give you, a specific element enchant and a specific element imperil where it comes to dungeons or, like, let's say chaos fights where the boss is, let's say, resistant to a particular brave attack. For example, let's say they're resistant to magic. Well, throw Fujin in your party, and let's say you want to throw like a really powerful magic damage dealer, such as, for example, Arciela. She's non-elemental, right? If they resist magic brave damage, throw Fujin in your party, and there you go. Now you have your wind imperil. Now you have your wind enchant. You could bypass that resistance to that particular brave damage. So excellent upgrades overall. Not to mention her sphere is called full HP critical speed down all. So what this does is it's an E-type sphere. So the equipped character, when their HP is at max and they're dealing a critical hit, they're going to be lowering all the target speed by 10% for 6 turns. It's decent. I like how they lower the target speed. Not the greatest sphere, but it's not bad. The spear is not bad. So after covering both of these characters, what are my thoughts on this banner? So definitely the prize is Fujin. Her upgrades and also the fact that her wind enchant to the party is an aura. Whereas, for example, characters such as Onion Knight. Onion Knight's enchant to the party comes from his C65, so it's a bit limited. Lulu's is good, but the thing is Lulu's acts as a buff. It actually takes up a buff slot on all your party members, so when that runs out, well, you got to use your skill again. With Fujin, as long as that buff is active, well, hey, you got that wind enchant going for you, and not to mention the wind imperil. So Fujin is the definite prize for the banner if you're going to be investing into this banner. Now, Cyan, like I said, I feel like the character is going to be underrated because he does little bits and pieces of different things. But remember, if you're lacking somebody that dispels buffs and also cleanses debuffs, Cyan is your man. He can actually now do that, which is pretty good. While he's not going to be game breaking or anything like that, I think he's going to be underrated and he's going to be a decent investment if you decide to throw some tickets or gems at him. But overall, it's a pretty decent banner, definitely stronger than the Prompto banner, especially because Fujin just brings that imperil and that enchant to your party. But just remember, we already know what we're getting for the month of June, and it's going to be a pretty hectic month when it comes to planning your pool. So if you find value with somebody that can wind enchant and wind imperil and offer you some great auras, then maybe this is the banner for you. Or if you find value in somebody that can act as like, a substitute dispeller and cleanser, then maybe this is the banner for you. But I would not consider this a pity banner. I think it's okay for tickets and maybe like one multi or two, but I wouldn't go any further than that. So if you guys are pulling for this banner, good luck to you guys. Let me know what you guys get in the comment section below. But this is going to be concluding the video covering the upgrades that Cyan and Fujin get for the upcoming Mission Dungeon event. Thank you again for watching. This is 40 the Broadway saying signing out. Mahal, everyone.